Hello everyone, today we're back with more Agentforce and Revenue Cloud. So we'll see if we can go quote to cash with Agentforce. So our flow will be, well, fairly simple, but we'll see if our friend Einstein can help us out through this flow. So we'll see if we can create a quote and an opportunity from our account record. Then from this, create and activate our order. Then we'll see if we can preview the invoices for that new activated order. And finally, create and post invoices, all using Agentforce. All right, so let's dive into Salesforce. Our use case today in Salesforce is going to be Figure AI. Their robots are now ready to go to market, and they're looking to sell to more customers. So their first customer is going to be Walmart. They're looking to sell a couple of robots to Walmart so they can test them in a warehouse setting. So the first request we're going to make to Agentforce is to create a quote and an opportunity for Walmart for 2 humanoid robots. So as the agent goes through, it looks at the available actions that we've set up for Revenue Cloud. So searching products through the API, creating quotes through the API, or through Apex, depending on the scenario, as well as creating the opportunity with standard agent actions. Once that process completes, it should return with a created quote and opportunity, as well as a link to the created quote. All right, there we go. So the quote has been successfully created, and you can view it here. So let's click through to our quote. We see that the quote has been created for Walmart as expected with a new opportunity related to our quote, and the products have been added as expected, even though the product name doesn't match one-to-one with what was requested, and the quantity gets added as expected with a quantity of 2. Now that quote can be modified as required. You can modify it with the agent or modify it through the interface. If you want to add discount, change quantity. For example, if we go ahead and change percentage and hit save, we're going to get the updated pricing for our quote. Now we want to keep going through our process flow. First step before we actually go in and create our orders, we'll ask the agent to generate a document for our quote. So let's go ahead, ask Agentforce, generate a document for the quote. So again, it's going to look through the available actions, look through its instructions to figure out which action to use. So we've built an action to leverage OmniStudio document generation. So it is going to launch document generation, which is an async action. So it should tell us that the process has kicked off, right? So we can see that the document generation process has started. It uses the default template unless you specify otherwise. And now if we go to the related list, we're going to be able to see that we've got 2 new documents created for this quote. So if we open our PDF, we'll see our simple quote template created using OmniStudio for our product with our product table, total price, and which customer this is for. All right, so let's now click out. So we've created our quote, our opportunity, send the document out to our customer. Customer is ready to move forward with this. So let's now create our order from this quote. So again, let's simply ask the agent to now create an order. Again, the agent has multiple actions available. In this case, you should be using the action to, the invocable action that's available out of the box with Revenue Cloud to create an order from a quote. Now that that's gone through, we can see that the order has been successfully created. So let's click through to view our order. Now from our order, we're going to test a couple different actions with Agentforce. First thing we'll do is we'll activate our order with Agentforce. This is going to use a simple update record action that's available out of the box with Agentforce. Then we'll submit it for fulfillment in DRO. So again, an invocable action that's available out of the box that we'll use for this. And then we'll leverage the Invoice Preview API to preview the API calls, to preview the upcoming invoices for our order. And finally, we'll create the invoice from this order. So let's go ahead and first activate our order. So we'll ask the agent to proceed to activation of the order. Again, goes through its evaluation of available actions. So it should now confirm that we want to change the status to activated, and we'll hit confirm. And now our order is going to be activated. So we have standard flows running in the background to create billing schedules from activated orders. And we can also now submit the order for fulfillment in Dynamic Revenue Orchestrator. So after I refresh, we can see that the order is now activated. We'll ask the agent to now submit the current order for fulfillment. So the agent is going to look at the available action called the standard invocable action for Dynamic Revenue Orchestrator and kick off any fulfillment line creation or fulfillment plan creation. So the order has now been submitted. Next step that we want to look at before we actually generate invoices is we'll call the Invoice Preview API to see what those next invoices are going to look like before we actually generate them. So let's ask the agent to please preview the upcoming invoices for the current order. We'll launch this process, and it's going to look at the available actions and return a table with the invoice preview. So once the call goes through, the agent made the call to call the Invoice Preview API, and we get a table with the details of the upcoming invoice. So we see the invoice header for a total of 153 with one line, the unit price, the total line amount, and quantity for our humanoid robot. So that's the invoice preview. Now that we're satisfied and we know what's going to come true, and we confirm that this is what we want, we can go ahead and ask the agent to create the invoices for this order. So now create an invoice for this order. So this is going to call the billing API for invoice creation. This is going to take a couple seconds, and this is an async process. So we've launched the invoice creation process, but it's not the link is not available right away because this is happening async. So if we now move on to our invoices tab in Salesforce, we should see a new invoice created, invoice number 11 that was just created now for a total of 153,000. And we see the lines that are on there that match what we add on our quote and our order. The Invoice Creation API allows you to create invoices as draft or posted. For the purposes of this, we've created it as a draft invoice. So let's now get the agent to post the current invoice. So this is, again, going to launch an async process through the API to post the current invoice. We can see that now the request to post the invoice has been successfully initiated. So until we refresh, we won't see anything new on this screen, but if we take a second and refresh our screen, we'll see that the invoice is now posted. So now, after sharing that invoice with the customer, unfortunately, they realize that there's an error on the invoice and we need to void it. So we can go ahead and, again, call it separate API endpoint through Agentforce as well to ask it to void the current invoice. So the agent will call that. That's, again, an async process. We can see that the process has been launched. It has been successfully voided. And if we take a second again and refresh, the status has now been updated to voided. This marks the end of our quote to cash process with Agentforce and Revenue Cloud. Please take a moment to subscribe if you like the content. We've got a couple more Agentforce use cases in the works that will be coming out shortly. So if you've got any questions, please reach out. As usual, thanks for watching and have a good day.